Okay, we're going live. Aaron, make sure you stay
How is
live.
that? Straight? Okay.
Good afternoon. Welcome to BISTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata. We've got a didactic show.
What?
Oh, yes, snap.
I had to look I'm running out of adjectives. I'm not that smart, so I had to look up synonyms for other words, and now I'm getting into words that I don't even know. It's exciting for me.
What is didactic?
Intended to teach, I think.
Didactic.
So I figured that was a good adjective for our show today.
That is amazing.
It sounds good, and it might make people think a little bit on a Friday.
And
Maybe not the best.
why did you choose didactic? Because of our guests?
Yeah, I always try to tie it in some way or another. Yesterday, I didn't even think we got to it, but Ken brought up stellar. I think would have been a good word for our show yesterday, talking about satellites. So I do try to tie them in.
Right. Wow. We have a couple guests with us, both from iAssay. It's a company here in the Southern California area doing some amazing things in diagnostics. First of all, let's welcome Marina Angeli. She is the project manager there. Marina, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
And the founder and CEO of iAssay, Lonnie Edelman. Thank you.
Hi. Good to be here.
Glad you could be with us
Thank you.
today.
Thanks.
We got a lot of things to go over and a lot of stuff to talk about. You've actually brought some show and tell stuff, which isn't going to show well over the radio, but if anybody tunes us in on Facebook Live.
Right, Facebook Live, and we need to say welcome to our Facebook
Oh, that's right.
listeners.
Welcome, Facebook.
We're glad you're here today. Friday, TGIF, right?
Yep. And it's BISTalk, BISTalk Radio. You can see us live right now, right this minute. Yes, you can. Go to Facebook Live if you want to see those show and tell, the demo. So, Lonnie, tell us a little bit about iAssay and what you're doing there.
So, what we're doing is we're really creating a revolution in point of care. We're putting together a device that's a universal point of care test device where a nurse that goes to see patients at home can test the patient right there in seconds or in minutes without the need to draw a vial of blood and then drive that vial of blood to the nearest blood center for the 1 day wait or the 2 day wait or the 5 hour wait or whatever it is. It's gone. We take care of all that. And more important is that we're cloud connected. So all of the data that we produce from testing and data from wearables around the patient, do you have wireless blood pressure cuffs and wireless scales and wireless stethoscopes? We can aggregate all that data along with the test data, and we can send it all up to the cloud, and it automatically populates a health record for the patient. And so we're already doing that end to end. And there will be more and more things that will be able to be done with that data. There's something that people refer to as big data. What it really is just all the data that we're all sending up into the cloud now. And for medical purposes, there's a lot that can be done with big data anonymously. Research, I listened to two guys talk about looking for a certain condition that happens during pregnancy. They studied some women that have that condition. They developed like a DNA template, call it, where you see the holes through the template, and then they can put that template over the DNA from women who are 1 month pregnant, and they can come up, I think it was 80-90% confidence that that woman would develop this condition so that they could prepare for it. So that's just an example that I saw.
Right.
There's tons and tons. I mean, these Nest thermostats that people have in their houses that are all connected
Controlled
up.
by Alexa, right?
And I don't know what controls it, but
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
becoming
data.
really good
I've
friends
got
with
one in my
Alexa.
house. I just bought it
Do
in
you?
the home, and you just you download their app on your phone, and as long as you're connected to your Wi-Fi, you can control your thermostat.
So I once watched a talk a couple of years ago at a San Diego Venture Group meeting, and it's surprising which industries are paying for the data that's coming from your house, my house, everybody else's house anonymously. All kinds of real estate companies, all kinds of companies who are getting custom reports from that data. That's big data. In our case, we're going to use that big data stream. No doubt, the new flow from home care, where we intend to go, is going to be the first source of data to seriously go into big data.
So let's talk about this from the ground up. So
Okay.
right now, home health care is what size population, what size marketplace is home health care right now, ballpark?
Okay, so in the U.S., there's about 20 million people in home care right now.
20 million
About
people
20
that are
million.
being cared for
At
out
home.
of their homes right
Yeah,
now.
About. And somebody had told me it's 100 million and 100 million. It's a lot of people. So the data I have is from a website of a conglomerate of people involved in healthcare. So it's pretty reliable, about 20 million.
So right now, the way home health care works is people are still shuttling back and forth. The caregivers are still going out to the home.
Mm-hmm.
But if there needs to be diagnostic tests, they're taking the blood draw or whatever diagnostic equipment they need there. They're getting the data, and then they're taking that back to a lab to get the results,
They
correct?
take the tube of blood to a blood lab, and then that's where the testing is done. It depends on the system. It depends on. Sometimes they actually have the nurse go to the blood center.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they call in Quest or LabCorp,
Right?
but in the end, the blood goes somewhere else, and then they do this whole workup, including a CBC, lots of different stuff. A lot of it they don't really care about. They just order it. I'm falling. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
So what we're doing is eliminating all that, and that way they don't have to transport the blood. So the cost of the nurse transporting that blood, depending on where it is, could be $40-50. Just
So
for that.
it's not just the time; it's the cost involved.
It's the
The
nurse being
labor,
away from patients.
right?
It's the actual cost of the nurse doing it, and it's the delay time to find the results so the patient could be diagnosed and cared for. Because if somebody unfortunately is going downhill and that's not detected, then what will happen is the person may end up being readmitted for the problem that they were discharged for, and then there's what they call readmission penalties that the hospital has to pay. If they go back within 30 days for the reason they were discharged, the hospital now pays a penalty.
To the insurance company, or
No,
to
they have to pay for the stay.
No
They don't
kidding.
get reimbursed, and that's part of all the value-based care. And so hospitals are very motivated to now figure out ways to keep patients from not coming back before the 31st day.
Are
So-
samples ever lost or compromised in this process? Meaning,
Well-
is that another part of?
I don't have data to support that. Nothing's perfect. I would think most of the time everything works great. The big problem is the delay. I mean, when's the last time you had blood drawn and got the results in an hour?
Never.
Lonnie Edelman is with us. He is the founder and CEO of iAssay. Marina Angeli is here as well, the project manager at iAssay. iAssay.net is the website. You're listening to BISTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
More with home testing when we get back. Don't you go anywhere. This could change your world. Stay with us.
Yeah, that was very fast.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Just the whole hour. Just
Flipping.
don't blink.
Oh, just put it across the top of your head where it's comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Get it comfortable up here first, and
Let
then
me
we'll
try it.
adjust the mic to
Let me
it.
try it.
So put it forward on your head more.
Okay.
Wherever it's comfortable.
Okay, I think that's good. All right.
That's good?
Yeah. How's the mic?
Good.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Good. Now it's
So I'm diabetic. How many of those things that I tend to get blood tested for, does it cover pretty much all
you
the
always get
A1C? And
A1C is actually
One of our first
maybe the
targets,
first
yeah.
one that goes out, because
The
not only is it a
hemoglobin.
trending thing, but it also now, according to the World Health Organization, can be used for detecting diabetes. So that's when people started getting even more excited about it. But that may be the first one that goes out. That's at the top of our list. It sort of depends on. We have a business-to-business relationship with these companies, and we have a whole list, so we don't really know which one's going to come first. It depends what looks best, and let's get out to the market and do it.
My last A1C was 7.2.
Is that good?
Is that good or bad? I don't know.
It's still not great, but
How much is it?
7.2.
That's good.
I mean, they say a type 1, they want them to be under 7. My doctor wants it under 6. I'm like, I'm never going to be like normal, but it's better than the 15.5 it was when I first was tested.
Right? Yeah.
We doing okay, Lonnie?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I just threw my lid down there because I had to
Okay,
get
we're
rid
back
of
in
it.
Don't worry
10
about it.
seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, put it back on. All right. Thank you very much. I'll put that in my pocket. Is this right? This right?
And we're playing the happy birthday song for those who are on Facebook. That is for Bob. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Bob.
birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
Nice. Welcome
Woo!
back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio, and today we're broadcasting from the ESET studios. ESET Internet Security, do more. And I know you want a podcast of this show because this is very interesting information. So here's how you do it. You go to ESPN1700.com. And I also want to give a shout out to Christopher, who greatly helped
Right.
Bob at the DMV for the last 4 hours
Getting my license renewed.
getting your license renewed. So thank you, Christopher. We appreciated that. And I am Montana Smit.
I'm Aaron Cannata.
And I'm Bob Ryan, and I forgot I was going to have to take a motorcycle test today. I did. I haven't reviewed a motorcycle manual in years, so I went in there and it's like, okay, I knew I had to take my car test all over again, so I looked at a couple of things on that, got that fine, and the motorcycle test pops up. It's like, oh, man.
It's like riding a bike.
Well,
Not necessarily.
except for the questions now are a little bit more confusing. I mean, they trick you, so I failed the first time through. I've never failed a test before like that.
Are you nervous?
No, I just got one wrong that I shouldn't have, but I got it aced it the second time through.
Well, yeah, you already had the practice
I
round.
know, huh? So I still have my motorcycle license. Woohoo!
Good.
Indian motorcycles, here we come.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope the people at Polaris are listening because we're positioning for a Roadmaster, right? Woohoo!
Well, a couple of bikes.
Yeah.
Not just a
Hey,
couple.
that's right, because you want one too.
Yes,
don't
I
you?
do. Yes.
You're not going to let me ride out there alone?
Heck no.
No. And our voice of reason's on his Harley. I got to have, okay, so his Harley's a 110 cubic inch, right? I got, the new Indians are 111.
Yes.
1 cubic inch bigger.
That's just Bob.
Like my horse has to be that much taller than yours.
My horse, yes.
That's right.
I know.
That's a man thing. Lonnie Edelman is with us. Lonnie, thanks for coming in.
Yep, my pleasure.
Founder and CEO of iAssay, and Marina Angeli, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
You're the project manager there?
Yes.
Are you the project manager?
Well,
Or a project manager?
no, I think I'm the project
The
manager.
project
Yeah, I'm
manager.
the right hand of Lonnie. Sometimes I put him on the ground. Sometimes he puts me on the ground.
Hey, you have a bit, tiny little bit of an accent. Where are you
Yes, I'm from Brazil, Rio.
From Rio?
Yes, and I wasn't there in the Olympics. Actually, I was here in San Diego.
So you
visiting.
missed the Olympics there?
Yes, I don't
That
like
must have
very
been-
much of a
Oh, you don't?
chaos, so I'd rather be in San Diego.
Wait, you're from Rio and you don't like chaos?
That's why I moved into
Oh.
San Diego. Yes, you know, you get older, you know, your patience runs out. So
Is there anything
You're
you
like all of what, 23 or something like that?
Yeah,
Come on.
like 10 years ago, I was 23.
Well, thank you all for coming in. So, iAssay is a company that's developed a home testing unit
Yes.
that,
Professionals.
but for professionals, not
Yeah.
for consumers at this
Right.
point, right?
Yes.
And the idea is that there are, I don't know, who knows, somewhere around 20 million people maybe getting home care right now. And at this point in time, there's no easy way for diagnostics to be done that, say, a doctor orders, or let's say a nurse goes and visits and recognizes something that may need to be, that a blood draw has to happen, that blood has to be taken to some kind of a centralized point and then to a lab or directly to a lab. Time delays, extra cost in that. If they have an iAssay unit, by the way, what's the name of the unit called? Do you have a name for it
We
yet?
call it an iAssay system.
No, iAssay system. So if they have one of these, this is not much. I would say it's about half the size of a lunchbox, right?
But this is a prototype.
And this is a prototype.
So how big will the one that comes out?
Probably about like this.
Like
About a-
palm of like a
Not that
hand.
big.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So about
A little bit bigger than the phone because it has to accommodate
the
plugins.
cartridges, right?
Yeah, so you have to have some place to put them. Well, some people have said we use a smartphone to run our system because it's a great little computer you can hold in your hand and
Right,
it's really
right, and
inexpensive.
it's already there, right?
So somebody said, well, what do you need this for? You can just use the phone by itself. Well, where do you put the 5 different cartridges that you're running in tandem to increase workflow? You could put them on the tabletop and it'd be a big mess, maybe not unlike what this looks like.
Right.
But if you have a nice little unit that's got 5 ports in it, which is our plan, and you have the appropriate
Kind of like
plug-in.
a USB port and a FireWire port, and the different ports on the back.
Or
of
I
it.
always think about the old IBM PCs. When you needed a new function, you took the case off it, you plugged the
There
card
you go.
into the
Right,
motherboard,
right.
now you have a new function.
Well, this here looks like an old Nintendo system.
Yes.
You know what? I sort of told the guy who designed the look to make it sort of look fun, make it look like a game thing. So this is what he came up with.
Very cool.
It's not our industrial design for production. We have some on our website, which is iAssay.net. We have different concepts for the industrial design, but we'll be starting in a big way on that soon.
No,
And the concepts are on the website, so if anybody's curious, just go to our product session. We have
iAssay.net.
Yes, 3 or 4 concepts. That I actually prefer the purple one. You can actually
You
do
like
a
purple?
pull here. The purple one is really nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like orange. Do you have an orange one?
No.
We might
We might.
call it the Ryan model.
There we
Yes.
go.
Nice.
So the back to the cartridges for a second.
Yes.
The reason it needs to accommodate cartridges is the tool you have is the diagnostic tool, but the cartridges are made by different manufacturers.
Dozens and dozens of manufacturers.
And these manufacturers design these cartridges to accept the specimen.
Yes.
So that's what happens. So
yeah.
the cartridges accept the specimen of the blood, right?
It could be urine as well.
Or urine.
And it just, what we need is we need the cartridge. It's all worked out. All of the testing, the FDA clearance or the CE mark is all worked out. So they do the work. So if somebody has a urine cartridge and it makes sense for us, we adapt that cartridge to our system and then it's a urine-based test. This is a blood-based test. I mean, it's a very fine one by a company called Abbott, which everybody has heard of.
Abbott Labs.
Yeah,
Yep.
you introduce a drop of blood here, you flip over the plastic piece, and then you put it right now into their reader. But their reader...
That's about the size of an SD card, a little twice the
Yeah.
size of an SD card.
I always
right
say
there.
it's SD card and steroids.
There we go.
And so their cartridges can only be read by their device right now, but they can't do certain tests. And so if the nurse needs another kind of test, they have to go find a different reader.
So a nurse could go out there with 5 different cartridges for all these
Yes.
different tests, but
And-
then she needs 5 different readers.
That's
or
right.
he needs 5 different readers, right?
Right.
And now they just need the iAssay system.
One all-in-one. You have, I envision a small case about yay big, several of the typical adapter modules that are needed on a given day. You have several types of cartridges that fit into those adapter modules. They go and visit the patient. If the test is necessary, they take the unit out, they put the adapter module in, they get the sample in the cartridge, they put that in, they press the button, they get the answer in seconds or minutes.
You know, there are companies out there that buy companies like yours when you're successful. You know that, right?
That's the plan.
I can think of a few. Did you bring your 100 shares of founder stock for the interview?
It's in the briefcase.
In the briefcase.
Yes.
I keep, nobody's ever really done that yet, but one of these days somebody's going to. iAssay's in studio with us. You're listening to BISTalk. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
Stay with us, folks. We're going to be right back. Don't you dare go anywhere.
Okay.
Boy, that's 8 minutes.
I know. Isn't it crazy? We're already 20 minutes after. Wow. It goes super fast. It's the fastest hour of my life. And I do this every day.
And it seems fast to you.
I come in here, I blink, and it's done.
So what else can I tell you to get you ready for the next segment?
I think it would be interesting in comparing, at least for me, if I could call my attention. So you need a test, and then you wait. The nurse goes, draw the veil, take to the lab, takes a week to get it done. And then it's not exactly what the doctor was thinking it is.
So now I got to go back and get another
Go
test.
back
Yeah, it
and
was-
do another test another week, so we can have like a diagnostic.
I have plenty of material to take us through the rest of the hour, so we're not going to run out of
Okay,
stuff.
all right.
Great.
But what I really
I
wanted
have
to
never
say,
run out of questions in 25 years of doing this. I've never run out of questions, and
Okay.
you are particularly
yeah,
interesting.
what I really wanted to say is that is this example. So instead of that, the nurse is right by the patient, and it runs the they run the test. The doctor has access real time in the cloud. Oh, this is not what I thought. So just run this, this, and this, and that can keep on trying
Okay, we're back
until
in.
So the doctor can be on the other end watching the
yeah, because
results
it's on
come
the
in real
client.
time.
Yeah, it's on the client, so it's online on the cloud, so it's online.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. You're listening to us on ESPN 1700, but did you know you can watch us too? Watch us on Facebook, visit our BizTalk radio page, share your comments and ask your questions. And Bob always appreciates your likes. I'm Montana Smit.
I'm Aaron Cannata.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Glad to have you with us today. We have so much to talk about. A company called iAssay's in studio with us. Maria Angeli is here, project manager. Maria,
Hello.
thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having
You
me.
talk so cute.
Ah,
I love the Portuguese accent. It's delightful.
well, you should visit Brazil then.
I have never been there, and I've always wanted to go. Watching the Olympics was very special. Looks like a great place.
Yeah, Rio. I'm from Rio. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
You should all go. You're all invited.
Oh,
Thank you.
yay!
Yes.
Where will we stay if you're up here?
Well, I can talk to my parents definitely.
They're going to put us up?
Yes.
All right.
And Lonnie Edelman is with us. Lonnie, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Now, this was your concept, right? Your dream, your idea.
Yes.
What was the? I'm going to get back to the product itself in just a second, but what was the genesis of this? Did you have a background in medicine, or did you have background in science or engineering? Where did this all come from?
Okay, so I have to be careful because I start speaking too long about what got me to this point. I have a background in engineering.
By the way, you know my engineer joke, right? I don't want to get you off track, but I have a famous engineer
There's
joke.
one that you can say on the air, and there's one that you can't. So
Oh,
go ahead.
this is one you can send me. How do you know when you're talking to an outgoing engineer?
Don't know.
He actually looks at your shoes when he's talking to you.
That's the truth.
He actually laughed at that one, Jeff.
That's the truth.
Okay, sorry. You're an engineer.
So I started playing with electronics at a young age.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to be an engineer when I was 10.
Whoa.
Nobody believed me, but I had
You
to
knew
find
what
out.
an engineer was?
Well, I had to find out. I said, I like doing this kind of stuff, Mom and Dad. What do I need to be? And they
So
said, "You need to
what
be an
were mom
engineer."
and dad?
Huh?
What were mom and
Oh,
dad?
my
What-
dad was a postal worker and retired, and my mom was a homemaker.
Well, good for them for knowing what to do with you at 10 to know what you...
Did
They were quite good.
Did you take everything apart just to figure out how it worked?
Yes, and I have a grandson just like me now.
I used to be like that, but I didn't turn out to be an engineer, unfortunately.
So that's how I got started. I went to engineering school, and thought I was going to be an engineer my whole life. And then I decided, I'm always fighting to do the leading edge stuff, always fighting with management, let me do it, finally succeeded. And I said, well, if I could convince management to do what I want to do, I could probably run my own company and do all kinds of great stuff and do anything I want. And I found out it wasn't quite that easy. You can't exactly do anything you want. You could choose to starve if you wish. It's completely
Unless
my
you're
choice.
independently wealthy, you have investors to answer to, right?
Exactly. Well, even then you can't do what you want. That's even worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. So I started a company after I left Cubic, and I was going to do consulting and contracting, but I had an eye towards looking for something where you can design it and then turn the crank and make a bunch of money and do good.
They call that a printing press back in Washington, D.C., right?
Yes. So I noticed people at Scripps doing this process called the polymerase chain reaction, which Kerry Mullis invented. And
Preliminary chain reaction.
Polymerase chain reaction. They call it
This is
PCR.
DNA testing, right?
PCR, right. And there was no apparatus to do it automatically. And so I saw these scientists who were postdocs doing this, and it was crazy. They were doing everything manually, 3 different water baths and tongs and a tube and a stopwatch. And so you could wander the labs in the 80s. They didn't stop you from doing that. And I said, why are you doing that? we don't have a machine. So why don't you have a machine? They said they all burn up. I said, they're going to burn up. So we designed them a machine that wasn't programmable. They were really happy. They no longer had to use tongs and a stopwatch. And they were probably one of the few labs in the country that had something in 1987 to do that. And they said,
you were part of developing that first machine.
We did develop it.
You did develop it.
We did develop it. And they nobody really understood the ramifications of that process. And I happened to walk into the right door at the right time over a Nancy Ridge, not too far from here. And Carrie Mullis was working there as a scientist. And I was trying to sell a computer board so that people could get their device up to speed quickly. And they stopped me at the door. What could you do with it? I told we did this thing at Scripps. Oh, Carrie Mullis wants a machine. So I sold a machine that night that we didn't have. And I used the board to get us there faster. And so we got into that business. And once I got into it, I realized that we were helping to discover genes by having an appliance that could turn the crank quickly. And we were getting orders from Europe and Asia like every day. I learned what a wire transfer was when the bank called me one day and it wasn't an overdraft. It was a wire transfer. I remember saying, they said, you have a wire transfer. I said, is that
What's
good?
that?
Is that good?
You know, people are putting money in my account.
Is that good? And so we built a company around that right over there. I used to make a right turn onto Cornerstone Court. Now I made a left turn to come to your
the
place.
ESPN studios, right?
And so
right.
we had the factory floor there. We designed there, everything. So when I learned we could help people, I got hooked because I wanted to help people. I wanted to apply engineering to help people. And so iAssay was an opportunity to answer the chatter I was hearing about Obamacare. So this goes back.
So what was the chatter you were hearing about
chatter
Obamacare?
Was fear. It was fear.
That what we were going to lose our.
Yeah, our how are we gonna get taken care of if the reimbursements drop and if
everybody's
going to
be at home with no care, right?
Or whatever,
right.
Just in general. And so I thought, this seems like something. There's got to be something in here that I can do that'll help people in light of decreasing funding in the healthcare system.
So you were looking at ways to save money in the medical system,
and either
using your
keep the
engineering
benefits
background.
the same, or increase the benefits and pay less. That's what I was looking for.
Make more money with less cost. Well, that's a genius idea.
And making the process more efficient.
How did home health care find its way into your brain?
Well, this was an evolution, right? So the first thing is, what could I do? And so I'm very device-centric. My entire career, I've run programs that are build a printer, build a memory, build a this, build a that. Usually with software, usually with firmware. So I said, okay. And I always like little things. Handheld stuff appeals to me. So I started thinking about Aerocomp, my first company, and how we were helping people discover genes. And that was a programmable thing. And we had some expandability. In fact, the whole design initially was an expansion. That board I was trying to sell was the one we used in every device we sold. Thousands and thousands of those units had that board in it. We never sold a single one separately anymore. And we built an adapter board for that, to adapt that general purpose computer board to that application. So it's not unlike this or any of the other stuff that I've been involved in.
You had a basic unit that you could modify to do different things.
That's right. And so that concept was transferred to iAssay. And I thought, well, you got these cartridges out there, and we can build an adapter like we did 10 or 20 times for different things. Maybe we can test patients. I don't know where. But if we could do it, then we can get them the care that they need within the system.
Lonnie Edelman, let me interrupt you there. Lonnie Edelman and Marina Angeli are with us from iAssay. iAssay.net is the website. If you're near a computer, check it out. You're listening to BISTalk. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. And by the way, happy birthday to me. Again.
Happy birthday.
We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jennifer Brown from
How was
Marvin K. Brown, Buick and GMC.
Good, I didn't
Doing
write.
great.
I
What
didn't,
was that? Was that
that was good,
start.
very
Yeah.
good. I didn't write it back in. What do you
Sorry.
want to lead with?
The development of the product.
So, question for you: what is the cost of performing the test versus sending them to a lab? Because obviously the machine has a cost.
So a
but-
cartridge like this is $10.
You missed the great one.
This is a Chem 8. It says 8 different tests with 1 drop of blood. $10.
Are the cartridges reusable, or is it one test?
No, none of these are reusable. One time only.
It's like
The adapter
test strips
is
for
reusable. This is not. And this is reimbursable. So you pay $10 for this, and there's a reimbursement that's called a CPT code. When you get your doctor's report with a code on there, that's a CPT code. So it's all standardized. And so the reimbursement's already there, so when care providers buy these, they can get reimbursed through that CPT code established because the test already exists. If there's new tests, and no doubt we'll be getting into new tests, maybe we're already talking to a couple of companies in development, so we're riding this development path with them. They'll need to get qualified. They'll need to get a reimbursement code. So it's reimbursable. The device isn't.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our engineer, Jeff Bilodeau, music by Derek Audette, our wonderful interns, and we could not do this without them. Sarah, Andrew, Deidre, Chrissy, and in studio with us today is Leah, Alex, and Dan. Thanks, guys. I'm Montana Smit.
I'm Aaron Cannata.
And I'm Bob Ryan. I love it when you guys are in. Thank you so much. It's delightful. I really appreciate it. So we have a great show. We're talking about the future of diagnostics in medicine. Many people forget about the home market because we always think about going into the lab or going into the hospital, the emergency room, or doctor's office where blood draws are done and then it magically goes away and comes back with the results a long time later. But we've got this massive market of people that are recovering at home, they're ill at home. I spent a fair amount of time at home when I was ill over the last 6 years, just being there by myself. And it is amazing how many people are being released from the hospital because of care costs cutting down and so forth. So they're spending more time at home, care is going out to them. And Lonnie, you were talking about the development of this product, and you went back a little bit about the engineering background that you had as a kid, and you grew up wanting to help people, and you found a place in the market because you had developed a board that you could modify to do different things. You took that kind of concept and applied it to diagnostics with these different cartridges.
Right.
So just a real quick question. We've got, 5 or 6 different cartridge types here, right?
Well, you really have the lateral flows, which is one type. This is a biochemical type, and then we have a cuvette. So there's really 3.
3 types of diagnostic tests. So
But there's still like strips, there's still other types. This is just what we brought.
Okay, what you brought. But
we're talking about format.
Okay, format, right. So there's different types. So did this hit you all at once? Like
No.
So it was a gradual process where you're thinking about how to do this.
Yes, they talk about in the new nomenclature for doing that is pivoting.
Pivoting.
Right.
Not iterations now. It's pivoting, right?
It's pivoting. It's the same as an iteration. Really, is coming up with an idea, testing it, talking to people, and initially we had to be very careful because we had no patents filed yet.
Right.
We were able to start working with Wilson Sonsini, who was good enough to put us on a deferral so we could get started, and that was about 3 years ago. So then once we could get the filing, we could be a little bit more open about some of the things we're doing. It became easier. Initially it was, I would talk to you about this sliver, I would talk to you about this sliver, you this sliver, without you knowing what the whole picture was, and put it together.
I remember when cassette tapes came out and I got my 8-track with a cassette tape adapter in it.
Right.
That was that dating me?
Well, this is your birthday,
Woohoo!
so
Yes.
But that's the idea.
But that's the idea.
That's
so
the idea.
You can put an HDMI and a USB and a FireWire. It's got all the different adapters for it because there's different manufacturers that do different testing with different cartridges.
Right.
And now your product, the iAssay system, can take all of these different tests and read them. And what does it do once it reads the information from the diagnosis?
Well, you see it on the display,
right?
And it also goes up to the cloud. So by going up to the cloud, that means that the data is sent through somehow through a vehicle up to the internet, And we work with Health IT Partners. One of the companies we work with is HealthNet Connect out of Michigan. They have the whole health IT part nailed. So we send our data to them with a Bluetooth connection, which is what they call HIPAA compliant. It's regulatorily compliant.
Right.
Just because it's Bluetooth, it scrambles the data enough so it's compliant. It goes into their hub or into their device through Bluetooth, and then they take care of everything else. They encrypt the data. It goes to Wi-Fi, to a server. It goes through their software to take this data, this test data, and put it into the electronic health record.
Comparing the current model where a nurse would draw blood, take that back to a lab, the lab processes it, sends the results to the doctor's office, the doctor then reads the results, contacts the patient. We're talking a minimum of days in that process, not hours.
Exactly.
Days.
Right.
How quickly does the iAssay system get the information to the doctor and back to the patient?
This hemoglobin test is a 4-second test. So
that's faster than days.
It's faster than anything. It's faster than anything I know of, pretty much.
So the doctors are watching the information come in real time?
Well, they don't have to, but the nurse is.
But they can. If they're connected, if they're connected, they have the results as soon as in the cloud.
They could be on the golf course and have their phone and interrogate with permissions. You know, they have to have permissions to be able to do that.
Right.
They could be on the golf course and they can look at it by themselves, or they can call the nurse and say, what was it? And the nurse can tell them because the nurse is looking at the display. They know immediately. And they get it done. Get the person diagnosed.
There's no risk of data loss.
No data loss.
So let's talk about accuracy. How accurate are the testing that we're doing now? And not just this in general, but in not your product specifically, but in general, how accurate are the tests?
So I'm not a laboratory expert,
right?
But I can tell you that Abbott does a really good job with their cartridges, and they rival lab results, I'm told, and these are like a % or less.
So is your machine actually taking data off the cartridge and reading it out, or are you actually doing diagnostics in your machine? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a difficult. Okay, so what we're doing is we're operating the cartridge. In this case, would be electronic. In the case of the cuvette, it's photometric with light. So we have to process the cartridge.
So there actually is processing going on in the iAssay
But all the
system.
chemistry is being done in this or in this or in this. That's all the chemistry. We don't
Depends
do any
on
of
the
that.
format. For example, this one would be, so the lateral flow is probably going to be more of a reading.
Right.
So a cuvette, since they have to read through the light, there's some magic that the iAssay does. So it depends a little bit on which format we were using at a time.
Do the cartridges and the tests exist in different formats because they have to be that way and be different, or is it because there's no standardization in the industry?
There is little standardization in the industry. The reason is, if I'm an Alere, why would I want my? It's another manufacturer that actually Abbott and Alere are merging right now. Why would I want a competitor to have the same format as me?
Well, I guess so. If iAssay became popular enough, could you control that market well enough where you could implement some form of standardization to make it easier and make it more cost effective?
We would like to try to do that, and we think if we become successful enough, that the partners that we'll be working with might try to drive that. For example, we have this thought, if we get together with the Gates Foundation, that they have enough power to sort of drive people to go in a certain direction with the resources that they have available. So we're looking at connecting up to people like the Gates Foundation who have clout and try to force things to go in a more standardized direction.
That's a great segue, because tomorrow is Bill Gates' birthday. I'm 1 day older than he is.
You're 1 day from being billionaire.
I know. I'm going to write him a letter and give him the benefit of my extra day. First thing I'm going to tell him is he needs to go back to college and get his degree, or he will never amount to anything. I love you. You laugh at my jokes. Holy cow. You're listening to BISTalk. iAssay.net is the website. Check it out while we're going to the break. You're listening to BISTalk. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.
So if there's a chance,
That was a good segue.
if
I want to
there's
hear
a
that
good-
conversation.
Yeah. If there's a chance, I'd like to say about future possibilities in ISA, like going to remote places, war zones, working with Doctors Without Borders,
Well, we just
like
had
places. What?
Mark Dankberg on yesterday talking about satellites
future.
bringing wireless connectivity to the entire world,
That's-
to Africa.
We
and so that is
we
a
have
great.
22 segments left, so it's going really fast.
Okay.
But
This,
we'll
this
get
is
that in.
nice to point out.
Yeah,
So what do we want to lead in coming back in?
the Gates Foundation.
Well, we're talking about standardization through iAssay, right? So we'll segue that into where you're heading into the future, and then you can talk about that.
So when did you want to do the demo, or do you want to do the demo?
Do you want to do that now?
Whenever you want, it's your
We're
show.
still-
Let's
we're
do it
still
next
live?
break.
Yeah,
Can I have a
okay.
tissue there? Because I need to
All you
wipe the
want.
tip off of that usually when I load it. But whenever you want,
We'll
you
do it
want me
next
to-
break.
Standardization through
We're going to do a segment now, and then
We're going to do a
the
segment. We'll have one more break. We'll do that over the break,
Okay,
and we'll
good.
come
So
back.
I can prepare this during the break. I
Okay.
think it's a little, it'll look better, I think, when I have this preloaded.
Okay, we're back in.
This show's going fast.
Sorry.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. Today we're broadcasting from the ESET studios. ESET Internet Security. Do more. And get a podcast of today's show and any of our previous shows. Now we're talking. Go to ESPN1700.com. I'm Montana Smit.
I'm Aaron Cannata.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Glad you're with us today. Marie Angeli is with us. She's project manager at iAssay. iAssay.net is the website if you want to check it out right now. Lonnie Edelman is the founder and CEO. Both of you, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We're talking about the future of medicine. Home health care is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It will be so much more a part of our world as communications grow, as our cloud communications grow. Everything's happening more with diversified care, web-based doctor communications. So you have developed a device, and you're working on developing further a device that can take the different laboratories' cartridges and diagnostic cartridges with blood and urine tests, plug it into the iAssay system, which will then give readouts to the nurse on the spot, and then up to the cloud
Right.
and to the doctor real time if they want,
Mm-hmm.
which eliminates days, at a minimum hours of time, and gives the doctor the ability to go back right away if maybe the test results indicate that further diagnosis
Right.
needs to be
Exactly.
done.
Right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot. And days matter a lot of times in care.
Hours.
Hours matter a lot of times in care.
Who's in pain is in rush, right?
That's true. So there's a lot of... You've got a good idea. You know that, right?
Thank you.
Good. That we were talking, Aaron, you brought up the idea that maybe iAssay can standardize some of these cartridges as we're moving forward, some of the testing, and you said you could work with some of the laboratories to do that.
Well, organizations more than the companies at the beginning. Like
What-
we talked about Gates Foundation.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a foundation that wants to do good. Has enough clout to help encourage people like us and other people in the industry to conform, because they'll make it worth our while in one way or another. That's what I'm thinking. Now we're in no way close to doing that, but I think eventually once we start working out in the field at the homes, people are going to recognize the value. And once they recognize the value and connect up to an organization like that or any number of foundations, I think that will start to be able to drive. We'll start to be able to drive uniformity, and there's been even in laboratory instrumentation. It's interesting to note, big expensive piece of lab instrument don't give the same numbers for the same sample. I don't want to diverge, but I was blown away when we did BNP tests for cardiac with our system, and we had some calibrated blood samples. We got the samples from the organization when we bought it. It's all licensed and everything. And they said, if your sample came from this facility, here's the numbers that you should be getting. If your sample came from this facility, here's the numbers you should be getting. So you got a sheet so that you knew And I called the cardiologist and I said,
Which one?
What's the deal here? And he goes, that's crazy. I said, well, what do you do when you get a number from a patient? He goes, I know my hospital, I know my numbers, so I know what to do. He said, I never realized that. So I don't want to diverge too much, but
there's some discrepancy even between the larger machines,
so the
right?
uniformity is a really cool thing. I did have some ideas about incorporating some of that into iAssay. One of our advisors, who's Howard Robin, he's been in the town here for 30 years, worked with Sharp. He said, Lonnie, you don't want to go there. He said, don't get involved in being the guy that Rosetta Stone. He says, you do not want to go there.
But you have something that at least can take what's on the market right now, save the time, maybe be critical input back to the patient, give the doctor more information right away. So that's very good. So I'm going to take a second. Mr. Gates, if you're listening. No, I know you're listening. So pay attention, Mr. Gates. And I call you Mr. because you're a day older than I am. So I respect my elders. You need to go to iAssay.net right now.
Than you.
What? No, that's right. He wasn't.
You're the elder in this situation.
Oh my God! Did I get that confused?
Well, tell him, listen
It's
to me.
old
I'm
age.
Tell me needs to listen to you. You're extra.
Exactly.
Senility.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I got that backwards.
Okay, start again. Take
Okay,
two.
all right. So you need to listen to me because I am your elder. You need to go to iAssay.net, log on, check this out, and give these folks a call. Lonnie, you can expect a call from us.
Good. And we have videos, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. So
I'm not going to say what videos we have. We have videos on
what
the
we're going to
website.
run here that people
No,
from
won't we
the
be
radio,
really surprised if he does call?
what we're going to run here that people from the radio won't be able to see, it's on our website too. We have a lot of demo videos showing how Assay works.
And we're going to do one over the next break. But right now, we were talking about where you're going with this, and maybe consolidation or unification isn't the place where you go. Maybe you still make all, because HDMI and USB are still completely different systems, right? So maybe that stays that way. But where do you see the future of the unit? What's the before you get purchased and you want to do some great humanitarian things, what are the fun things you see happening?
Well, I talked about myself. So Lonnie convinced me when I saw the potential of iAssay going to really remote communities, war zones. I'm a great fan of Doctors Without Borders. And this is something they could actually benefit, those communities that are not as fortunate as we are. They barely have electricity, they don't have running water, they don't have anything. And you being able to provide those kind of tests for people that are in need and actually save life of those that are in need, this is what convinced me.
Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
Can the unit store test results, meaning if they don't have access to the Wi-Fi where they are immediately, can it store multiple tests, and then once you plug in, it will shoot that information back to the cloud?
So I'll tell you, in the U.S., that's a possible violation of HIPAA rules.
Outside
the U.S.,
there's not.
maybe not.
So
but
war zones.
We have another solution, though. So in addition to the adapter module to adapt a cartridge to our system, we also have what we call a functional module, and the functional module expands another adapter expands the capability of the system by plugging it in. So one of those adapters is going to be a satellite transceiver.
Or even a printer if it's like really...
we need to hook you guys up with Viasat. They were on yesterday, and they're doing this around the world, right?
So a satellite connection gets us to the internet. There's costs involved, but let's not worry about that yet. There's a way. And so that's how you get on the internet, and that's how you do it.
If you were looking at the future, and these devices are about the size of a cell phone, maybe twice the size of a cell phone, they can take them remotely into areas that don't have any testing now. Would they be able to do the traditional full panel of diagnostic tests there?
Good question. That's actually why we put this together, so that we could use multi-manufacturers to do a panel on a patient wherever
so you could get a full diagnostic spectrum done.
In order to do that, you might use Abbott, you might use Alere, you might use Siemens, you might use one of the little companies here in Serrano Mesa, and you use the company that gives you the test that you need to do to complete the panel.
And the people on the spot can make that diagnosis.
Yes.
Lonnie Edelman is with us. Marina Angeli is with us from iAssay. iAssay.net is the website. We're going to do a little test while we're on the break here. You're listening to BISTalk, Believing and Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
We'll be back with the results of this sample test. Don't go anywhere.
Okay. So you want to run it live so
Sure.
people
Do
can
you want
see
to bring
it?
the camera up close and we can capture this?
Let me load this up. Let me get the gloves on so Larry Krishko is happy.
Is there any prepared?
We have 1 minute
Yes.
30 seconds.
1 minute and 30
Before we can
seconds.
leak
We need-
over into back live. We can talk about it as we...
What is the
Yeah,
full
you can
panel?
talk while he's doing
Is that a common?
What now?
Commonly not. The full panel, was that the term that was
Yes,
used?
full panel, like if you have a condition, you have certain tests need to be done.
I see.
So let me see if I can get this on fast enough. I'm not used to these gloves. I'm not used to gloves.
I can poke.
Okay.
He's not a doctor.
I'm not a
Mizu
doctor, and I'm
and
having
David
trouble
Brummer.
getting this
I could
on.
have done
I
it,
don't have
though.
time.
Brummer.
And
Yeah,
you-
Brummer.
I know you
That
put
was
that
going to be
in.
my dad.
This is going to look really goofy. Okay. All right. You know what?
Oh, they're the wrong size
Good
for you.
enough. Get this. Do with one hand.
Live radio, live Facebook.
That's the fun of it.
That's exactly right.
Exciting.
The first time I saw it, I almost cried. I'm serious.
First time you saw what?
Oh, it's still
The
like.
test.
Yeah.
Really?
Because I was just working from Brazil, like it was, and I didn't see it.
You
So
recognized the
it's like,
potential.
oh, this is much better than I
How
thought.
fast that
Okay, we're
goes.
back
your
in
background?
5 seconds, 5 seconds.
Oh, we're coming back
business.
on.
You put his headset on.
We'll finish it on
Thank you,
air. I
Ken.
guess.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're ready to go.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. Be sure and join us on Monday when our guest will be Tim Polk, CEO and President of Mizu, and David Brummer, co-founder and inventor and CEO of 5D Robotics. The stories ought to be pretty wild. Be sure and tune in. I'm Montana Smit.
I'm Aaron Cannata.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Glad you're with us. Lonnie Edelman is with us. Marina Angeli, she's project manager. Lonnie is the founder and CEO of a company called iAssay, I-A-S-S-A-Y, in case you're like me and you can't spell anything. iAssay.net is the website. You can check it out while we're live right now. We're for those of you listening on air, you won't be able to see this. For those of you on Facebook Live, you'll be able to see this. But Lonnie, you've loaded in some. Have you loaded in some data? into
Yeah.
the-
So it's a sample.
So
It
you've
looks
got a
like
little
that.
sample that's.
That amber-colored solution has hemoglobin in it. It's not from a patient; it's from a bottle.
Okay.
So we put that.
So it's
into,
not blood.
It's not blood,
We're
but
safe.
my advisors like me to have the glove on. So I put it into our device. This
Right.
is the plug-in we designed. We put it in,
This would be
Close
the
it,
adapter.
and
for
then we
this.
press the test button, and
Right.
you'll see the test result there, and you'll also see it on our device, both. So that's 8.29 grams per deciliter.
That's fast.
So
as it
4
goes.
seconds. 4 seconds.
As opposed to taking the
An
blood
hour, 2
sample
hours,
to
5
the
hours.
lab and then having them do the
Weeks.
test there.
Exactly.
Days or weeks.
And then so this could be critical information for somebody who's not doing well at home and the doctor doesn't know. The nurse can get the information right there on the spot. The doctor can order new tests. This is very, very cool.
And it is already in the cloud.
Now,
The physician already knows what's going on.
Marina, you said something really interesting that when you first saw this, it actually brought a tear to your eye.
I almost cried,
But why?
yeah.
I mean, what about this was so impactful?
I was
to you?
crying when it didn't work the first time.
Maybe I skipped that part. Oh, so in Brazil, I'm from, we don't have much of a home care. We always have to go to labs. And we take at least 5 days to have a simple test as this one. And I knew the concept. I was cooperating with them from Brazil remotely. So I knew the concept. I knew everything. But I never saw the magic happening. So the first video that he showed, look, I got goosebumps right now. So
So are you excited about this because of the impact on patients? I mean,
Yes,
that's the
of course. Of course, I want to make money too. I'm not a hypocrite, but saving lives. I was this close to applying to Doctors Without Borders to go to actual war zone and help as a project manager as I can. And maybe like God put iAssay in my way, and maybe I can help even more people if I was doing the field job. So this is why I'm so passionate.
you know when you're
about
on
iAssay.
when you're doing God's work, that's a mission you just can't
Yes,
fail on, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
May I show you that? That was one format,
Yes,
the cuvette
yes.
format. So we can also do a lateral flow. I don't know where to point this.
That's
Point it
okay.
at you?
Yeah, I can
So
see
this
it.
is a different format.
All right,
It's
so
a
we're
different
looking at
app.
a we're looking at about a 4 or 5 inch screen here.
Right.
Right.
And so this is a prototype. So
Right.
we have to move the sample area is the red area here.
Right, right.
We have to move that into the red rectangle.
But this
And
is
that's
a
when we measure.
for the
This is a
prototype.
prototype. It's not for production. Production will find that red line.
Right.
Yes,
And we'll
automatically.
paint the red rectangle around that, or they could be multi-analyzed.
So for those who have no idea what a lateral flow in radio, imagine a pregnancy test,
Yes.
the little box with the
The line.
the line. That's a lateral flow, and it's not only for a pregnancy. There's a lot of different tests that we can do.
So right now, with the smaller number at the bottom is what the
Right.
read is. The top one was actually for work.
So you're putting
That's
this
the one
in the
that's 0.
reader.
We're putting it
Yeah.
in the reader, the same reader that we read the hemoglobin with, and we move this into the red rectangle.
And it reads it.
And
Look
it reads
at that.
it like an 81. So if you have a different size, like this one, see, notice it's a different intensity.
The first
It's
was
a little
80.
bit more
Right.
intense. So the
Right.
number is a little bit higher because there's more there's more target that you're looking for in this particular device.
But when the
And
final device comes out, it will automatically know and look for the right thing to read, right?
Exactly.
also a QR code on the back, and it's a demo QR code that tells the system what you're running and where it came from, what it is.
You know,
how
this
old
is
it
almost foolproof.
Well, everything can be fooled.
I don't think for you to become a health practitioner, you could be much of a fool. And there really is more.
The idea is to make it easy, but people who run this do need to be qualified.
Yes.
That's why we have a provider doing it.
That was going to be my next question. Do you see a future in
Yes.
which it is just the individual?
I do, but not today, and probably not for 3 years. Once we get this to the point where we evolve it, where it's so easy that it's like a blood glucose meter for a diabetic, then it's ready.
So I'm waiting for the day when you walk in the door and you get scanned, right?
Yeah.
And it reads out everything
Yeah.
that you need to know
Yeah.
and what. Or do they have toilets in Japan where when you go potty, it
Yeah.
reads
they,
out
they
everything?
clean everything.
Yeah. Well, no, it reads your urine.
Really?
Yeah, it gives you
I-
diagnostics back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. Ours is a little less gross.
Well, it's already going down the toilet.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a waste.
So the cost on this right now, your price point is about when you're going to manufacture the final unit. Are you? Is this cost effective? Can you make this reasonable for people to bring it out in the field?
This is a third of the cost of this Abbott
No.
unit,
Yeah.
and the Abbott unit can only read Abbott cartridges.
Actually,
So we're a
it's
universal solution.
more than a third, maybe
for more
6
than,
times.
I mean, it depends on what you're comparing against. We're much less expensive because of the smartphone.
And you can read a bunch of different
Yeah.
kinds of
Yes.
tests.
So the reason why we're less expensive is we have what you call shared resources. All these tests utilize the user interface. All these tests use the same computer. The only thing that's specialized is what's in this box, which is specific
the box is
The
a
adapter.
adapter.
to the
adapter.
cartridge that you're running. And so that's what you need to pay for extra in order to make our system work with that cartridge. Everything else is shared by everything else. The communications, everything.
No, you were talking. Go ahead, Aaron.
Are these in the field now? Are people getting tested?
No,
now?
we have pilots. We have a pilot that we're involved in Los Angeles, and we're hoping to get into a pilot with a big local hospital.
We have connections.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, we have
Please.
connections. We can pull some strings.
So we're interested.
Aaron, what strings can we pull? We can pull strings.
I can get really sick and head down the script and ask
No, we
them.
don't want you to get
I know
sick.
a lot of doctors by first name in town, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
But the fun part is the practitioners are already very bought on the
The
idea.
what?
The nurses and the doctors,
The
they love
protection-
practitioners.
Oh, practitioners. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
So they love the idea. So
They wanna
the
know that they
clients,
can
the
get it.
final client is already there. We just need to develop it and put it in the market. With anybody that you talk to that actually goes through this hassle of drawing blood, waiting for results.
I'm still thinking about your word protectioners. It's like the
Practitioners.
No, that's like the
Practitioners.
League of Justice will have a new name for first responders.
Yes, well-
the protection.
I want to point out something interesting. This is an aside. When I met Marina online, it was a little bit less than a year ago, and I asked her I said, how long did you live in the U.S.? And she said, I never lived in the U.S. I said, how is your English spoken so well? And she said, school, and I think you said movies.
Yeah, movies.
So you're looking at a person that arrived here in the U.S. in July, I think.
June.
I made the same observation when
Yeah.
I first met her earlier today.
So I mean, her language skills are incredible.
Real quick before we go off, biggest surprise when you got to the United States?
Well, this has been a long. First time I got here was 2012.
Yep.
I went to New York. There was a hurricane. We don't have any
A
natural.
hurricane in New York, and
Yeah,
Sandy, right?
Sandy. Yeah.
So you get to go to New York City.
I stood 7
And there's
days
a
inside
hurricane.
the
So you
hotel.
brought the hurricane. They don't get
No, we don't
Oh my
actually
God.
don't have hurricanes in Brazil. So yeah.
Marina, Angeli, thank you so much. Project
you.
manager at iAssay, Lonnie Edelman, thank you. What a great job you're doing. Keep up the good work
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Good luck with this. iAssay.net is the website. You've been listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smit.
And I'm Aaron Cannata.
You folks go and have a great and prosperous day. Bye-bye.
Wow, this was cool.
That
Well,
was
thank you,
so
guys.
fun.
You know, the last
Good
time I
birthday
was on
show.
the air,
Yes.
That's a good birthday show.
about 1966, I was one of the kids on the Art Linkletter show.
No
wow.
way!
Get out of here.
That was the
I
last
loved it
time.
when he used,
You
you know,
told
I
me
knew
that,
Art
didn't you?
Linkletter.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a friend of the family.
If I could get that tape, I would love it, but my